Hi guys, George here, and welcome to part 2 of Defense of Luga. And what I'm going to do here is bring to you some highlights of the battle. So this is, and some notable events. So this is the end of uh, Russian turn 1. And basically what the Russian player did was he advanced across a wide front. These tanks here came along this path here. And as soon as one tank had turned his covered arc from here, actually before that, this unit exposed himself in order to uh, attempt to break the concealment of all the units that were advancing in this line of sight using non-assault movement. Then subsequently, this unit revealed himself and took a pot shot at him, missed, or his fire was not effective, but remained concealed because he did not roll a 5 or 6 on the colored die. All the remainder of the Russian units have advanced without being touched by any German fire, and the German player remained concealed, hoping to gain some good ambushes. Okay, back again here, and now it's time to provide you with a little summary of what happened during German turn 2 and Allied turn 2. Basically, the German player, all he did was advance the units that were previously in these woods across here using non-assault movement, drew some fire, nothing resulted out of that, and then handed over the baton to the Allied player to continue. So by Russian player turn 2, uh, these units advance from back here to here, and the T-34 initially went across this direction, did an overrun against this unit which was ineffective, landed in this hex, decided to bypass this hex instead of doing a second overrun, landed here, at which point these units uh, revealed themselves and declared street fighting and successfully took it out. They just blasted the T-34 into oblivion. Subsequent to that, a couple of Russian units made it here and here, and these two fire groups opened up. And now, as you can see, this unit was routed to here, but previously was there, and he successfully uh, drew first blood, as we kind of say, and this fellow took out a leader. So the casualties here have mounted up. We have eliminated a Russian leader. We had also destroyed a Russian medium machine gun with a KIA, and effectively took out 3 Russian squads that were moving in the open, and to the cost of a half squad. Um, in response to all that chaos, the Russian player advanced the tanks in an attempt to seek revenge on the bad guys. At this point, you know, hindsight has eyesight 2020, but you have to ask yourself, would they have served a better purpose just doing a reconnaissance job instead of trying um, to take out the Germans? Um, you certainly have a lot of units that have emerged unscathed from the fire, and they are advancing, and they can we can use the infantry to take out the German players' units that have exposed, and continue using the tanks in our reconnaissance to see where else the German positions are, and put pressure on the German player. And on board 3, the Russian player has advanced unabated, and here this group here is in a very good position to flank the village entirely. Um, as you might guess, the big gun tanks are up here on the hill, and they will remain there until some German units have exposed themselves, or take pot shots here to see if there are any German units hidden in here. At the same token, I'm asking myself whether I should open up with my AT gun at this point, or leave these tanks, uh, go closer to them, and then open up at point blank fire. So that's basically turn 2. We'll bring to you turn 3 shortly. Okay guys, this is the end of Allied turn 3. So let's zoom into the action and see what transpired, okay? Um, During the previous player turn, the German player decided to abandon these positions and successfully did so, and uh, went through to here. Um, Sergeant Kelso here, or von Hoth rather, was not so lucky. He's being surrounded um, by the Russian player. Um, he was fired upon, and in turn they became berserk due to heat of battle. He successfully low crawled to here. Um, Ultimately, the crew here broke twice, once the AT gun and then himself, and was able to rout again. I believe we took interdiction and then made it down to here somehow. Um, Things they seem to be looking up and up for the Russian player. Um, However, we still have the possibility of being able to ambush everything here. Um, there were several sniper activations. One of them uh, managed to stun the crew here. So, despite the advance, we had two. Sorry, let's unzoom here. Yeah, despite the great advance here, we've had two major setbacks. One, here, the T-34 is gone. Two, the highest caliber gun, uh, the KV-2 here, has been stunned. And then there's also quite a few setbacks for the German player. The AA gun has mouthed, trying to fire on this group that's advancing here. And then another main armament weapon has mouthed here. Right. And since these tanks are in motion, they're at half firepower. The German units have not exposed themselves. They are allowing the Russian player to advance in the open, and hopefully spring the ambush when the tail end of the column is reached, and see what happens there. In the meantime, over on the other boards, Germans are quiet. And now this is the situation towards the end of Allied turn 4. This area here on board 4, most of the German units have retreated to a rally point back here, which is a stone building that offers them +3 DRM for protection. The Russian player here stumbled upon the AT gun, and the Berserk unit here took him out, did two shots, one with the LMG, one for the inherent firepower, broke one, and the other fellow that was in the woods basically fell prisoner here. So that's the situation in board 4. In board 3, we had a German unit here, which is now broken, and he sprang a trap on the tail end of this column of infantry, eliminated, I believe, an infantry unit, and broke the leader. The Russian commissar advanced successfully here. The fire that this unit exerted was mostly ineffective, and then during the advancing fire phase, the German player was able to pin him. Ultimately, the crew that was manning this gun fell a victim to as a prisoner um, to this unit. Quite a few Russian units have managed to completely bypass this trap here. So this unit here just exposed himself and sprang a trap on the Russian infantry. However, we still have a unit that's concealed here, and he's waiting for his turn to fire. Another important event here is that we still have a main armament malfunction here. The Russian armored fighting vehicles are facing in this direction. The key objective is here. Again, here, these units, instead of doing reconnaissance, are trying to battle the berserk German units. And up on the hill, the stunned crew that fell victim to a sniper of the KV-2 is now in recall and will exit the board in the following turn. So that's the situation now, and it's towards the bottom of turn 4, Russian player turn 4. Nearly a third of the game is over, and at this point I am concerned because the Russian player was not occupying any of these buildings, and I just issued a kind reminder that these buildings as well are part of the objective. In hindsight, I shouldn't have done that. Not because I'm a bad guy or a nice guy. It's a question of, had he not delayed and advanced his infantry towards this direction to assault board 1, would he accomplish his goal by an alternative means? So that's something to think about. So at this point, I decided to cut to the chase and go to the end of the game, where I believe it ended on turn 9. As you can see, between turn 4 and turn 9, there was a lot of time spent fighting the Germans in the village. There was one half squad that was chased down this way and ultimately ended up here, and ultimately ended up evicted from this building. The units here fell victim to the Russian horde of units. There was a lot of close combat, a lot of routing situations where each side took their prisoners. These fellows were freed ultimately. I was hoping to do the same, but it didn't transpire. The biggest success the Russian player had, and I would say the smartest move that was done, was that he took these two tanks and basically rushed them down this road, eliminating the AA gun, coming around. I believe he came through the forest road all the way to here, threatening the rear completely. Now, I did promise in the previous video that I wouldn't refer to the classic game, which first appeared in Cross of Iron, but in this case, the riders were not permitted. So that's a major disadvantage for the Russian player. However, some tanks could have been allotted to these troops here to form a armor assault, but that wasn't done. There was a lot of misfortune with respect to melting weapons on both sides, I suppose. And ultimately, what happened was, by the time the Russians reached this line of attack here and this line of attack here, first Mr. Mueller with his HMG opened fire, and with a rate of fire of 3, he did a lot of damage to the advance, and ultimately this AT gun ran out of APCR, ran out of his special ammunition trying to take out this tank up here. But eventually, since we were not able to get a critical hit, he turned his targets to the infantry and essentially stalled the attack in this direction. Then the second units that unhipped themselves is good old Steiner here with another HMG, and he kind of took out uh, another important target. So as the German player, you have some high value targets which are essentially the leaders and the good order first line squads, um, and units with good support weapons like here, right? So this unit opens up, then subsequently this unit opens up, and this unit here, which is just a lonely squad with an LMG and an 8-1 leader, originally were here in this position here, covering. Their arc of defense was here, right? So they were covering this area here, and he kind of pranced around between these hexes and here. Now, if more tanks were in the made it to the German rear, for example, in this target hex here, here's a good hex. Then, basically, once these units broke and retreated here, um, routing back would have been really difficult, and it would have forced them to stay DM for a longer period of time. I would allow the Russians to advance more, and possibly would have uh, made it. As it was, towards game end, the Russian player had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units that he ultimately gained control of, and would have needed another 10 um, had he made it closer to the city board. That would have been possible. Uh, but again, the key here was to advance. Um, Yep, 17 minutes, and I promised a video of no longer than 15 minutes. So, lessons learned and what we could have done better will be the subject of part 3 of this video series. And so we'll cut it short. If you have any questions, please ask them below. And as usual, like or subscribe if you like what you've seen. Thank you so much, and take care.